Morgan Wallen stirs speculation with abrupt SNL walk-off and Get Me to God's Country social post. Country superstar Morgan Wallen performed 2 songs from a forthcoming album that is expected to be one of the year's biggest blockbusters on Saturday Night Live. But it wasn't the music that stirred up the most chatter after the episode ended. It was his abrupt walk-off during the usual group hugs at the close of the show, followed by a social media post that suggested he was in a hurry to get out of New York, both creating speculation about whether or not Wallen was sending signals that his SNL experience was not a happy one. Sources in Wallen's camp say there's nothing to the conjecture that the singer was signaling tension, maintaining that he had a good time, and no slight was intended with either his prominent exit or his Instagram post. During the traditional SNL close, Wallen did stick around long enough to salute the audience, and then to share a light hug with host Mikey Madison. But bucking protocol, he then bolted from the stage rather than stick around for stage time with the cast, walking into the audience and straight toward, and past, the camera. It marked the first time veteran SNL watchers could remember a guest making an early departure from the stage, or certainly one quite that in your face. Later, Wallen's sole post to his social media after the show consisted of a photo of his private jet on the tarmac in New York with the caption, "Get me to God's country." Even before the IG post, and more so after it, the flood of reactions on social media seemed to be split 3 ways. A. This was all inadvertent, and Wallen clearly wasn't thinking how his exit would be read. B. It was a deliberate flip-off, and he was being rude to the show. Or C. It was deliberate and good for him for sticking it to a liberal cast that was probably rude to him first. According to sources in his world, it was that first option. No slight was intended, and the buzz misreads the star just being off the cuff as usual. When Wallen made a quick dart toward the camera to make his getaway, it was simply an oops moment that everyone on hand had a laugh about, according to those familiar with his camp's perception of how it went down. That was the way he entered and exited the studio all week during rehearsal and camera blocking, so he wasn't thinking about being on camera when he strolled off stage. As for his ambiguously NYC dissing, "Get me to God's country" social post not expressing any pleasure over the performance, or directly referring to SNL at all, this was just typical Wallen, say those in his world, since he rarely posts about accomplishments or accolades. The star did not say anything on his socials last fall about his triumphant CMA Awards win for Entertainer of the Year, either, which he was not on hand to accept. Regardless of how it was intended or not intended, the buzz about whether he meant to give SNL a brush-off continued into Sunday morning. Some talked about the seeming distance between the cast and Wallen even before he left the stage, or posted screenshots of Ego Newton and Kenan Thompson seeming to share a bemused moment as Newton looked in the direction of where Wallen had made his way out. A sampling of tweets. "Wow, Morgan Wallen just walking off the stage during the @NBC SNL credits? In decades of watching SNL, I don't think I've ever seen that. For so many of us, that is sacred ground. All this hate to Morgan Wallen because he walked off stage before the end credits as if he hasn't been getting bashed literally all week by all you insane liberals. He doesn't owe you anything and you all are low-life haters who can't let go of the past. Like grow TF up." Alongside a screenshot of his IG God's Country post, Morgan Wallen with a little more of the catty-ass petty loser shit he so proudly displayed running off stage down the center aisle and right past the camera at SNL curtain call. This and the tone-deaf private jet flaunt couldn't be more lame and undercutting coming from a country star. Morgan Wallen shows the SNL cast exactly how he feels. Love it! Something so pleasing about seeing Morgan Wallen storm off stage during good nights. Don't let the door hit ya. If you go back and watch the clips of Mikey with Morgan and Chloe from midweek, the "Hi, I'm Mikey Madison and I'm hosting SNL this week with Morgan Wallen" clips, you'll see he didn't want to shoot those either, and probably only did SNL cause his manager and agent made him. It's ain't rocket science. Morgan Wallen dipped because the entire cast, Queen Mikey excluded, are a bunch of self-righteous, sanctimonious shitlibs who think they're better than conservatives. I wouldn't hang around longer than I had to either.